What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Video Nasties. Today we are doing Killer Nun, or The Killer Nun as it's on IMDb, but on the release it's just Killer Nun. They dropped the. I'm not sure why on that one. From 1979, and this is from Section 2, which was the ones that got dropped and not prosecuted, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I guess, as always, I'll let Retro here do a little story synopsis for you guys, and then we'll get into our thoughts on the film.
All right. So this is a nunsploitation film. A nun basically confesses thoughts of revenge and murder to a horrified priest at the beginning of the opening scene. And, of course, the priest refuses to absolve her. She's like a head nun at a Catholic hospice, which I didn't know we had inpatient. Well, there's inpatient hospice, yeah. The head nun is Gertrude, played by Anita Ekberg, who's better known for La Dolce Vita. That's a famous Italian kind of love affair film, drama. But she slowly loses control, and she is a morphine addict, which may or may not have been a result of having surgery for some brain tumor. I don't know if you caught that, but they
show a little glimpse of like some surgery going on.
Yeah, it was kind of a flashback. But so she freezes when she touches a scalpel. She has flashbacks to her surgery. She kind of snaps and crushes the dentures of this old woman in the nursing home. At any rate, the bottom line is whenever she injects the morphine, murders occur. And that's where the story kind of goes. It's got an interesting twist ending, which I liked. It's loosely based on events concerning a killer nun, a lady named Cecile Bombeck. I don't know if you picked up on that. But
yeah, it's based on a true story, and then they added their own little twist to it as well.
Yeah, apparently in the 70s, this lady nun killed off a number of people, but she apparently was also a morphine addict. The Killer Nun is one of the few Italian films that I can think of that's in the nunsploitation genre. That's usually been the purview of Germany and England and other Euro countries. It was, of course, it was banned in England under Section 2. And in Italy, they banned it. But I think they banned it in Italy mainly because of the advertising campaign, which was essentially suggesting that the film was from secret Vatican files.
Yeah, which you have on the cover here from the secret files of the Vatican.
Yeah, so you have the
blue underground as well. Yeah,
I wasn't sure which version of this.
I know there's an Arrow release as well.
There is, and I can't believe the Arrow slipped my attention. I immediately ordered it because it's got a slew of special features and commentaries on it. All this has is a 15-minute interview with the director.
I didn't know Arrow had released it when I ordered this one. As I was going through the list and trying to grab a few, I saw this release is the only one that came up on the site.
Yeah.
So,
and people have been lamenting this release because of sound quality issues. I've watched this 3 or 4 times, and normally when I watch it, I'll watch the English with the English dubs just to see if there's discrepancies. And I don't hear the sound problems that they were talking about in some of the reviews, but this time I watched the Italian with English subtitles, and I thought it sounded fine. I don't know what the issue is. I
will say, I'll just say my receiver, I usually have the volume on the 30 decibels or whatever. I had to turn this one all the way up to like 20. So the sound seemed really low to me. That might be what they were referring to as far as the sound quality.
Huh, that's interesting.
Way louder. But,
did you so there's a lot of interesting actors in this film. Did you notice forget her name, Anita, I think it's Anita Valli, Alita Valli. She had just been in Suspiria. She was the den mother in Suspiria, and then she was
played Mother Superior. This one, yeah.
She's the one laying around. All the Mother Superior does is lay around, eat candy in the bed for some reason.
Which, if you watch the features, you see that she was objective to that. She didn't think a nun would just lay around and eat candy. So
right.
I think you want to do the scene. Yeah, she played Miss Tanner in Suspiria.
Yeah, I think she's got a point. And then Joe D'Alessandro plays the young doctor who replaced the older doctor that Anita Ekberg gets fired because he won't give her morphine. D'Alessandro is an interesting character. He went on to be, of course, he was a big Andy Warhol guy, and he went on to do Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula, and then he kind of jumped out of acting, and now he's like running a motel in L.A. and Hollywood. Crazy.
Yeah. Going back a little bit to why it was banned, I know we were talking before the recording. From what I picked up on, it was banned in the UK for the religious standpoint when she's initially doing her first injection and kind of going crazy, losing her shit, because she's doing some religious stuff beforehand. They cut all the religious part out of it and just has her shooting up, and they took out like 13 seconds of film.
Yeah.
But this was like number one, I guess, for a couple weeks before it got pulled from theaters.
In Italy, it was a huge hit. Yeah, it was a huge hit. Of course, what does that say about the society that you ban a film because of morphine addiction, but you don't ban it for the scene with the old woman getting gouged with all the pins and needles? That's kind of the show scene, I think. That's kind of the highlight of the film, is that scene where the old woman's getting just pins. It was very Dario Argento-like, the way they did that with the pins and then the slash in her throat.
So, warning, there is spoilers as usual on these.
Yeah, and there's a twist. Well, I'm not going to go into it, but there is a twist ending to this, which is, I thought.
Yeah. We won't give away the complete ending, but is everything that's happening really happening scenario, or is it things in her head, or being thought to believe certain things?
And I know we're going to disagree on this, but Paola Mora, who plays the lesbian sister that kind of tries to seduce Anita Ekberg, I thought she was pretty hot.
I just had an issue with her teeth. Her teeth were not great.
Yeah, I could.
That's a big turn off. But she did have a nice body, I will say that.
Yeah, I wasn't really focused on her teeth.
I will say, one thing that out of everything in this movie that was kind of whatever-ish, the first sex scene when she just kind of goes out to rebel or whatever she was doing in town, that was an unbelievable sex scene. Like, it wasn't real.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I think one of the failings of the movie is Anita Ekberg's probably too old to pull off. In La Dolce Vita in the 60s, she's like a sex kitten. She's like a Marilyn Monroe of Italy, and she was highlighted in that famous film. But she's kind of worse for the wear, at this point. I mean, I just don't think she comes off as a sex kitten in this thing very well.
And from my understanding from the features as well, she didn't even want to do this movie at first. They had to kind of talk her into it.
Yeah, I thought her acting was well. I just think she was a little old to try to pull off what they were trying to do.
I think she thought the same thing at the time, and the director and stuff told her that we'd make you look as good as possible. You don't have to do any nudity.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the kill scenes were highlighted well. Very much analogous to Dario Argento. I thought when it's a slow burn. The first 45 minutes,
very slow burn. Yes,
it's kind of a build up, and then you get some really interesting and unusual deaths in this film. I think a number of them really did feel like we were watching an Argento film.
You know who my favorite character of the whole movie was?
Paola Mora.
The old guy that's always jogging and shit. That's my favorite guy right there. That guy was great.
Also got the director Giulio Garudi. He was a big editor. He was famous for being assistant editor and things. He did Baba Yaga.
Yeah. I think he was assistant director, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did. Man, I wish the guy had done more. I was really kind of impressed with this. And I admit it's a slow burn. And a lot of the Euro films can be admittedly slow at the initial beginning. But I thought the last 45 minutes was good stuff. I mean,
I believe this was his last film too. And then he was talking in the interview that he decided to go back to doing documentaries and stuff after this. You know, he didn't really do another feature film.
Yeah, that's right.
I got kind of sad, but you know, I guess all the things that happened, you know, with the movie.
Well, I think this one, when I think of nunsploitation, obviously Ken Russell's Devils is the first thing I think of, but this one is right up there. I would say it's a top 10 nunsploitation. Not that there's a lot of them, but probably like 20 or 30 maybe.
Right. I know that Severance put a lot of them out.
Yeah.
I think the titles off the top of my head, but I don't know. I went into it thinking killer nun. I'm thinking like sex and nudity and like extreme violence, and it just, my expectations weren't what the film was. It was more of a psychological study of this woman than it was anything else.
Well, certainly the first 45 minutes is definitely you're trying to figure out what's going on with this woman. Definitely. I gotta give a shout out to the music in this. Alexandro Alessandroni. I think that's how you pronounce it. His guitar and mandolin. There's a certain scene where I thought it was fantastic music.
You're probably talking about the same scene that I'm thinking of. It was one towards the end of it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an overhead shot of Anita Ekberg, and he got the guitar, the very interesting guitar solo going on. I thought that was great.
Yeah, the music was really good. I think, and they must have had a really, really shitty transfer to work with because the quality is not great on the video.
Yeah,
I think with a better transfer and had the film been shot a little bit better too, I think it was shot kind of not great. It was really a lot of out of focus scenes, a lot of scenes that were just too far away from what you were supposed to focus on. I think. I think shot just a little bit better and cleaned up a little bit better, I would have enjoyed this one a lot more. But
yeah, I'm really curious to see if the Arrow release it's a 2K scan. I'm interested in getting that and seeing how it's there.
Yeah, because I don't think this one was it? No, this is just.
No, this is not.
Say what the scan is. It just says 1080p. So
yeah, and
it felt a lot longer than it was too, because this is only 88 minutes, and it felt like a 2-hour movie. It really did.
Yeah.
Well, I felt really bad for the character of Peter, though. That poor guy, the guy with the crutches, man, he had it the worst of anybody.
I don't know, man. The old woman that gets her damn dentures stomped on. That was pretty brutal too. I mean, poor old woman. She had no teeth.
Yeah, that scene was pretty funny. I like that scene too. It was probably my 3 favorite scenes. Is the, well, I guess it's a couple scenes with Peter in the stairwell, the eyes, and the teeth.
Yeah. Yeah,
that poor guy, man, just struggle, and then she comes back, and he did all that for nothing. It's kind of like the last movie we did with the guy in the wheelchair, taking all that time to get back in the wheelchair for nothing. Like, man, come on, leave the handicap alone.
Yeah, I was looking into what's going on with Joe D'Alessandro, and he was a big Andy Warhol guy. I mean, he was Trash, and he played in Trash, and of course the 2 horror films I talk about. And apparently, when he went over to Italy to make these films, he got nothing. I mean, other than promises from the producers that he would get royalties in the future. He apparently hadn't got a cent, hadn't seen a cent from any of these movies. He's really, I mean, he's not the centerpiece of this film, but certainly the Paul Morrissey Dracula Frankenstein films, he was a centerpiece, and he apparently got nothing as far as royalties and things.
Yeah, and I know that they made this movie for a very low budget too. They were trying to get people that would work for next to nothing and everything, people that they already kind of knew, and would do the movie for basically free. I don't know. This one just is probably not one I'm going to revisit, to be honest. I mean, I'll keep it in the collection just because I don't really have any other nunsploitation films, but I don't know. It's just not one I care to revisit.
And that's odd. I ordered two copies of the Arrow, one for you too. So that's
I'm good.
well,
I hope the commentary makes it better.
Don't go in the woods alone. You got two of those, so I just got to.
I would rather watch this again than that. I will say that. Now you take like this story and this character development of Killer Nun and put the gore of Don't Go in the Woods, then maybe we got something.
Yeah. Well, you do have that one standout scene, but other than that, it's relatively tame. I agree.
Yeah. Trying to think of some of the other kills. Well, the one where the guy's getting bashed over the head, that one's a little bit brutal. I mean, not by today's standards, obviously, but from 1979 standards, you know.
Yeah, well, they I think he tried to go kind of artsy with some of that, where he's got the bashing has occurred behind this veil. You know, you can kind of partially see it, and then I thought the scene where Anita Ekberg is looking up, and then
I was going to ask you about that. I was getting ready to say something. I was kind of a little lost on that scene. Was she just like floating in the air at that point or something? What was going on there? I kind of missed.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the aftermath of the old woman getting her face, stabbed and stuff. That gets thrown to that shaft, and of course it. I thought the way that was shot was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some heavily inspired giallo type, kind of elements.
I think this is one that kind of is in between. It doesn't really know if it wants to be pure exploitation, nunsploitation, or giallo. I mean, it's really kind of caught in between.
There was something else I was getting ready to say. I can't remember what it was. Trying to think of the rest of the kills. Oh, the one where she's out in the rain. That was. I was trying to figure out when they all go inside because it starts pouring outside and she stays behind, and you got the old man and the woman, the old guy in the wheelchair. I was trying to figure out if that was all in her, if she was imagining that at the time, which later on we find out she really wasn't. But it was kind of throwing me off on that scene. Is this really happening right now, or is this something that she's envisioning?
Well, see, that whole thing gets back to the kind of the whole central theme of the film is this woman is addicted to morphine. She's had a tumor brain surgery, and is she just going nuts, or is she actually doing these things, doing these killings? And it does have some very dream sequency kind of sequences going on here. So
I did like that scene. I forgot that is the other. There is a little bit more nudity in that scene. So
yeah,
there's that.
So I think overall the film, this director Girardi did a good job, stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the style of the film. Maybe they could have sped it up a little bit the first 45 minutes, but I don't know that we need the subplot where the old doctor, he's going to get fired because he won't give her morphine. He probably could have.
The only thing I was going to say with that was, had he taken her more seriously at the beginning of the film, a lot of this could have been avoided.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because she knew there was something wrong with her. She knew something wasn't right.
Right.
And she tried to get him to see what the hell was going on with her, and he's just telling her she's fine, and you see what happens because of it.
Yeah, well, she was simultaneously covering it up, trying to cover up the fact she's going nuts.
It's another one of those cases, too, where it'd be interesting to see what the director really could have done had given a higher budget and everything.
Yeah.
Because, it wasn't terrible, like you'd say. It's a slow burn, and I just thought the cinematography was kind of weak for the most part, some of the shots. But given 3 times the budget it had or something, it might have been a way better movie,
Yeah, well, I think it suffers a little bit from kind of a static camera. There was some interesting shots, like the overhead shot of Anita Ekberg, but in general, it's kind of a by the numbers. I think if you gave this to Dario Argento, you probably would have gotten a lot more style out of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it was still adequately done. I mean, from a directorial standpoint.
The inside shots were definitely a lot better than the outside. The outside shots is where I had the most issue, like when they're all out in the field and things like that. That camera that they were using for that was just, it wasn't good. But the interior shots were a lot better.
Right. The interiors and the close-ups were good. Yeah. So overall, I'm still kind of in the 6.5 range for this one. I still have a soft spot for this film overall.
And again, it goes back to, like I always say, and a lot of people do as well, is I try to put myself in that mind state of being, the age I am now or something back in '79 when this came out. And, I'm sure it was a lot more shocking and a lot more, just a lot more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You know what I'm trying to say. There wasn't a lot to compare it with back then. Movies weren't so extreme back then, so this was a lot more extreme than it is now.
The '70s in general, while you don't have the souped up gore of the '80s and '90s, but you've got some really nasty stuff going on. I mean, particularly from a subject matter standpoint, I mean, you've got some nasty stuff going on. But like you're not going to see. I mean, the nunsploitation and the cannibal genre and nunsploitation genre. That's all a product of the '70s. It just kind of went away, after the early '80s.
And the late '70s was very rapey too. And
you
didn't have that in here, so that's good.
Yeah, no, the '70s was just kind of a very pessimistic attitude about things. I mean, a lot of rapey stuff. The Italians had no qualms about going after Catholic priests as subject matter, as pedophiles and nun killers, and they had no problems with any of that stuff.
And the only other thing I was going to say, and my opinion, since you gave your rating, and I say stream it first if you guys aren't familiar with this one. But I believe the Blue Underground's only like $15 or less. The Arrow's probably not much either. That was probably a little bit more. The Arrow one, though, is that Region B?
No, it's a U.S. release.
There is a US release. I was thinking maybe it was Region B. That's why it didn't pop up when I first searched for it. So I just ordered this off Grindhouse Video when I did my big haul, and the Arrow one didn't even show up. So I was thinking maybe it was Region B. But I say definitely stream this one first, though, if you're kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah, it was. I think I paid $27 off of Amazon, which is a little high, actually. I don't really like to pay that much for Arrow releases, but
yeah, I don't either. I usually just stock up on the sales that they have when you can get them for like $7 to $10.
Yeah.
And I know it's not one with a slipcover or anything like that either that I'm going to miss out on.
Right.
I also found it kind of interesting, and this will be the last thing I have to say about this one pretty much, is during the filming of this, they actually filmed in a, what the actual church or whatever, and they just told them it was a different name. Of course, they didn't want to say, yeah, we're making a movie called Killer Nun inside your commissary or whatever. So they said it was something else, and they did a lot of filming in there after hours, of course, with nobody there. But I found that kind of interesting. So,
yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know that. So, well, good. So, what do we got on tap? That's kind of all I've got for this one. What do we got on tap for next week?
For next week, we're going to do Driller Killer.
Abel Ferrara.
Section 1. So these are the ones that actually did get banned.
Yeah. And I think this is one that got banned mainly for again, for advertising. The guy with his face, he's getting impaled with the drill. I mean, that drill bit, that's, I think, pretty much why it got banned.
Yeah, which is on the cover of a lot of the releases, so you know what you're getting into.
Right.
It's definitely appealing.
I'm a huge Abel Ferrara fan. He's an interesting dude.
Alrighty. Yeah, we try to keep these pretty short for you guys. Keep them around 15, 20-minute mark or whatever. And this So let us know if you guys are still enjoying this series, and if you guys have seen this movie, leave the thoughts and comments below. And yeah, I don't really have much else.
And that's it for me. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.